Welcome everybody to the Ability Now show with CeCe Carr. That's on the Ability World of Ability Podcast Network that we do every first Saturday of the month, at 5 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So over to you. Welcome, CeCe.
Thank you so much, Emily. You are amazing. And first of all, I want to thank God. And then I want to thank Ability Now for giving me the opportunity to share monthly about everything that's going on in life. And this podcast allows me the ability to share my experience, strength, and hope. And it's monthly on the first Saturday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so I'm CeCe, the pound cake lady. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. So thank you, Kurt and Sue, and the founders of Ability Now for allowing me to share this story about um, deprivation of public utility services. And I'm so grateful to have had somebody listen to me this whole time. I'm a retired federal employee with a service connected injury, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. I'm grateful for the opportunity that God has blessed me with to still be around, because this has been years and years of issues, probably decades, that I was unaware that we had so much infrastructure damages in our community. And I thank God for keeping me around to see the new beginnings. New beginnings means that all the situations will be resolved. We're going to get new buildings, new utility lines, new everything, because we are deserving of it, and we pay property taxes and mortgage faithfully, um, to have decent infrastructure. Okay. So I certainly didn't have my hand up to go years without public utilities and still paying for it. I had no clue as to what was going on because nobody was revealing anything. Their lips were sealed. They didn't even want to say anything. There were lots of stories going on. Stories means it was not the truth. And then now that we're getting down to the truth of things, and it took a lot of people who involved themselves with this whole situation. And it started prior to 2023. 2023, January 17th, around that time, that's when the public utilities got turned off. That means public water lines were busted. These companies that came in here did not have any permit. So not only did they bust water lines, they were digging. Digging, that means without a permit, and that caused infrastructural damages. So therefore, people were getting flooded out of their homes. And prior to that, at least 2010, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there, we had sewer backups that went unresolved. And this was in the main sewer line. This was not lateral, and there was no plumber that verified ever that there was a lateral problem. It was always in the common main line, which we had to use cameras to go down there and confirm that there was tree roots, obstructions, as well as busted sewer lines. And it caused environmental problems too, health problems, all that. And that showed up with myself too, getting serious diseases. Like I ended up getting Graves' disease. And it was horrible, going through that process. But I thank God for a wonderful doctor who watched God heal me from that, and I'm grateful for that. So I have a little notes for me to for myself today that I printed out. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, what do you do when public utilities are taken from you? That means deprivation of public water and sewage. Um, and I was being silenced. So therefore, my YouTube um, channel, which is KCARRCO, that's the archive one, and CeCe imports, um, the videos were being removed from the website. So I have a TikTok. I have Instagram, MIZ_pound cake. So my videos were being removed. So that means my voice was being silenced. So the fact that we had years of displacement, years of loss of potable water and sewer services, and that put a halt to all of my businesses that were in home. It disrupted my life. I was displaced. Like, there was somebody else in the Bible that was displaced. I can't remember who it was, but I think I read about them recently. It was in James. I think it was James 1, 1 through 4. Talked about people who were displaced and they didn't know what to do. That's when you trust God and rely on your faith to remain faithful. Over little, God will bless you with much. So James 1, 1 through 4 explained that to me. And when I was reading James 1 through 4, I think it's 1, 1 through 4, um, James talked about being faithful, and he also talked about some other things too. But at the end, the essence of it is to be spiritually matured and complete, lacking nothing. So maybe God was sending me through this so that I would become spiritually mature, complete, lacking nothing. That means I'm trusting God and I'm being faithful over a little, because God says in his word that he doesn't lie. And that's in Numbers 23:19. He's not a man that he should lie. And because he doesn't lie, that's a promise. And I've been praying for a while. James, no, it's 3rd John 3 and 2, or 3rd John 2. It's a prayer. It says, "Beloved, I pray above all things that you prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prospers." Those are 3 promises in that one verse. And so I pray that over a lot of people, including myself, when I didn't know what to do. I pray this prayer every day. I'll speak it over people. I was like, I pray that you prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So I thank God for giving me grace and mercy, because I didn't get found in church until I was kind of older. I didn't have a preacher's child background. I was just regular background, like regular people dealing with extraordinary circumstances. And so when my baking business shut down because there's no public utilities, no water to clean up, um, I couldn't bake. I couldn't sell no cookies and pound cake like I normally would, because there was no public utilities or water. I paid for it all. I paid for the water, the sewage, our HOA fees are $275 a month. It includes water and sewage. And the fact that my condominium didn't have it, I'm not the only one. There was somebody else. next to me who doesn't pay $275 a month because he put his condo in his business name and they agreed that he didn't have to pay HOA fees because he was buying their debt. It's called Max Patch. So, and that was Dan Swanee. He worked out a deal where he was getting people's homes, condos, quote unquote, buying the debt from the HOA. Really, it never even made it to foreclosure because he paid a discounted amount for each one of those condominiums and he would do minimum repairs and then lease to own it to somebody else who never qualified to own it ever. So he's had this property for decades and he just lets people who can't, who need a place, who don't qualify to buy a home. He does a lease to own option. And thank God we have a real estate agent, Cynthia Banks, to facilitate that process with the investors that are in our community. And I don't even know if it's legal or not, but I didn't get to buy no properties at pennies on the dollar, buy debt and buy property like he did. So, and he lives and he's got a property right next to mine. So he don't pay HOA fees. His renters don't pay any of that. And if they did, they ain't been able to live with no public utilities. So the property has been empty for about, I guess, a year now. Since the last people moved out, maybe more. I'm not sure. I don't have the actual dates in front of me. But all I know is um, businesses that are LLCs, they can't be sued, not for public utilities or HOA fees because they worked it out. And one of my topics is, okay, am I documenting everything? Yes, since I was a report writer. So I've been making all these 18, 20-page reports, details, pictures, everything you can think of in it. And I thank God that he gave me the ability to generate reports because reports tell a story. Matter of fact, um, I'm going to be releasing my book soon. It's going to be a documentary, and I'm going to share my experience regarding long-term, prolonged deprivation of public utilities. I was like, how do you get through this? And I'm a senior on top of that. So since I am documenting these things and I'm protecting the property God blessed me with, I learned this in a budget class yesterday with Elder Dorian Joyner. He told us to protect our asset. And the really asset that I have, the most expensive one that I've ever had is my home. Condominium home is castle. So I said, I'm going to protect it. And that's what God was allowing me to do is protect the home. And because it didn't have no public utilities, I couldn't live there, but I was protecting the biggest asset that God blessed me to have. And so I was also protecting my peace of mind and understanding my rights as a senior or a disabled resident and refusing retaliation as well as um, learning or leaning into my faith. Because when the system stalled, I had to trust God. I chose to trust God. When I didn't know um, what was going on, I had to trust God. And I do know this. I learned this from one of my pastors. He had a knack for knowing who we were, who we are. His name was Bishop Eddie Lee Long. I don't care what anybody say about him, but I didn't know him personally, but he would always um, pray for all of us. And he always would shout out my little businesses. He didn't even know me. But he shouted it out over the pulpit. He shouted me out whenever I would be traveling overseas because I have a knack for traveling all around the world, and I was looking for business, which is going to happen thanks to God. But thanks to James, because James said, "Count it all joy when you go through trials and tribulations. It's a testing of your faith that produces patience." When I first read that scripture, I was like, how do you count that joy? How do you count trials and tribulations as joy? Well, really, it is the fuel that produces, whenever you go through trials and tribulations, it's fuel that allows you to become very prosperous if you do not faint on God. I think it's Psalms 27:13. I have fainted unless I have seen the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I was fainting before this whole situation showed up. I was fainting like, oh God, that's too much for me. Huh. And so the testing of my faith was me getting closer to God, reading his word daily. I thank God for that. Um, Reading it, and I got big print. I got the super big print. Um, I went to Walmart and said, look at here. This is super big print right here. Okay. So if you ain't got no glasses on, you can still read the word. Okay. So with this super big print, I'm not no pastor. I'm just a regular old person. That super big print, reading it daily, help regulate me on the inside. Because all kind of things was happening. Getting kicked out of hotels. I was like, how you get kicked out of a hotel? I don't even drink. I don't even smoke. But I get everybody was working together for the good to those who serve the Lord. So everything which was documented on paper um, was a paper trail. And thanks to one of my buddies, he went to school for public health. He left a paper trail for me. I mean, for more people probably. But I used to volunteer and serve for free. And God let me capture video, document, and he had a degree in public health. And he was an elected official. I remember one time he ran for this office, and he just had one sign. And I got a sign too. Somebody made me a sign. Can you believe this? Somebody made me a sign. Restore the public water. Talk about viewpoint these kind of minutes. And I was like, thank you, because it's better than the one I had before. Because the other one, it got wet. So this one looked like it can last a little bit. But I'm so grateful because God had already made a way for me. I just didn't know how to get through it. And I'm learning along the way because I'm gonna keep pressing my way with scriptures. I think it's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. So I'm asking God to send me to sign language school so I can learn how to become so I can be fluent in sign language. And I believe that God gonna send me there to learn sign language so I don't have to talk as much. I do signing while I'm on the podcast. And so I'm so thankful because there is some public interest in what I'm doing. It's called investigative documentation. Nobody knew that I'm a research advocate. And God gave me patience to research because I don't go by just what people say. Because a lot of times people say things that's not truthful. Many times during this process, especially insurance um, appraisers, all the people dealing with claims, they would say, "We want to call you." Oh no, because whenever I would call, they would say, I don't understand you. I said, "How you don't understand?" And then instead of me saying, "Okay, since you don't understand me, I'm gonna put it in writing." So I would put it in writing, long reports, because they would get mad. Um, because they were up here telling me, I can't understand you. Well, everybody else can understand me. And so they would write on their report something different than what I had said. Because this what happened to me. And I was talking to somebody at Navy Federal, one of the managers. I was talking about my account and I was saying, "Hey, I'm dealing with long-term deprivation of public utilities." And I was appealing my application for HELOC. So I was looking for, uh, I applied for a HELOC that's, where you can get equity out of your house, some finances to repair things. Well, because I was saying, "Hey, we've got prolonged long-term deprivation of public utilities," he pretended like he didn't understand me. And he was saying, I hear you saying totally something different than what I said. So I said, "Okay, you want to play that with me? I'm going to record the conversations." So I started recording the conversations because I knew what I said. They said they heard something different, which was nothing about what I was saying. And so I think it was an intentional attempt to get me to doubt myself, but that ain't happening because CeCe records her conversations. That's what you have to do when you're dealing with somebody. Oh, got stuck. When you're dealing with somebody who has got a story, everybody got a story to tell. So if somebody misunderstand you or they intentional about you saying something else that you didn't even say, record the conversation because then you have a evidence showing that that's not what you said. And you know what you said, so you can go and write a report on that and document it. I do know if you document and record what you're saying, you'll be able to make corrections because it wasn't just for them, it was for myself. Because if I forgot to say something, I knew I had forgot to say something. So I put it in my report just in case. Because the written documentation says it all. And if you want to just go by verbal, that ain't going to work for me because I'm going to follow up with a written report and I'm going to have all the evidence attached to it. So thank you so much for YouTube, for Instagram, for TikTok, even the videos that got removed, even the videos that got changed out to something else. I'm learning a whole lot of how people do business, including our city government, our county government, our state government, and the federal government. They do it too. So all I know is people don't want to do a lot of work. But when you don't do what you're supposed to do, that means when somebody deprive me of public utilities, I'm going to be writing some reports because that water should have been turned on. Plus, all the infrastructure should have been repaired years ago. But because it wasn't, my reports got bigger and bigger because along the way, there was more things that were being exposed. The truth was being exposed. See, a lot of times you can outlive your problems. And I'm so grateful that God is allowing me to outlive the problems. You wait long enough, the truth will always be exposed. And so I'm going to be forever thankful to God. I'm going to be grateful. Maybe it was so that I can be more thankful and say thank you. Thank you, God. I don't have it worse than what it was. Thank you for the wisdom to keep going when I didn't know. Keep when you don't know what to do, you have to rely on your faith. I'm not just speaking for me. I'm speaking for a whole lot of people in the community that were afraid to say anything because they saw me going through it. And I sure didn't look good going through it. See how my car looked like? Oh, still like that. Um, but it it really makes a person realize that even though you're going through it, that doesn't mean you have to be mean to people. I never wanted to be mean to people. So I just say, God, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to say thank you for all the people. Even a smile, I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for all the quiet spirits, people who are quiet and the talkative ones too, because I talk to them. I was like, hey, how you doing today? And I'm no, I'm not no victim. I'm victorious because that's how God thinks of all of us. I'm a witness, not Jehovah Witness, but a witness as to what the truth will do for you. Okay, you got the 25 minutes? Hello, recording
Yeah.
stop.
Oh, yes, we're stopping.
Not wanting to be in the other thing.
Well,
So I don't know.
um, Kurt said I didn't have to stop. That y'all would do a breakout room. You there, Kurt?
Yeah, yeah, it's been
He said
yeah,
I
it's
didn't
been
have to
half hour.
stop. He said that he was going to go out into a breakout room.
No, they're in a breakout room.
Yeah, so you turned
Yeah.
you turned the recording off.
Nope, that was the recording's still going, CeCe. That was just the
Oh,
AI.
oh, AI was talking to me. Sorry,
Yeah.
AI, you stop talking to me. So, I got off track just a little bit because I heard it say recording stopped. So, I'm your host today, and I am not a victim. I'm victorious. I'm a witness as to what God can do over a little. Um, your conversation, fostering dialogue around dignity, accountability, and community resilience. It takes a lot to stand when you don't know what you're facing. You don't even know who the players are. Because if it was just the Public Water Authority, they could have just turned the water back on, which is Rockdale Water Resources. They could have turned the water on instead of sending people out there to give me some story talking about you don't have a bond. I was like, I don't need no bond to have water turned back on in my house. They said these old big old menses. I call him big old menses because he was a big old menses man. Um, to tell me this nonsense. I said, well, can you put that in writing? Oh, nothing. I said, well, if you can't put it in writing, I don't believe nothing you got to say. And that's the good thing about God's word. The Bible is a written contract. It's in writing. So we can read it. It's a living document. I never thought about that. I thought about it that way until recently. And it talks to you if you get quiet. If you read it out loud, God will talk to you. The Holy Spirit will talk to you and reveal all truth to you. So you don't have to be clueless as to what to do because God's word, that Bible, Bible, will reveal all truth to you, even the good and the bad. Because I'm working out my salvation with fear and trembling. So that means each day I need to be confessing something, confessing my sins, not looking at other people, but looking at myself, what I need to do to change to be a better person. And so, the community baker, I'm a community baker from Conyers, Georgia, but I would travel all over the world with my baked goods, cookies, pound cakes. I had to shift gears for a little bit because for a while I was trying to carry water, but I just couldn't carry water back in the house because I have a foot that's injured from surgical injuries, and I just couldn't carry water back in the house. So I had to go to the hotel because I could not manage. So all I can say is the spirit of the game was founded and is organized by Kurt and Sue Roscoff. And I'm so grateful for them giving me the opportunity and the spotlight because all these videos are recorded and they're posted on YouTube, they're posted on Facebook, and they're posted in the social media. And so after I get a recording of this, I'm going to post it on my YouTube. I'm going to post it. And hold up, before I say any further, this is not to be used for evidence for somebody else's defense because this podcast does not, it's not long enough to explain the whole situation. This is years and years of stuff. So you don't get my permission to reuse any of my videos, any of the podcasts as a quote unquote defense because I didn't say this and that. My reports say a whole lot, along with pictures, along with evidence. So these podcasts are not allowed to be used. And I also asked for an ADA accommodation. So you will not be using these videos to justify long-term deprivation of public utilities. And so what I can do is keep being thankful because gave me the will to keep going to church. Here I am struggling, but I pressed my way to get to the house of the Lord and give God praise, thanks, and glory, and give tithes and offerings. And this has been years, and I'm still waiting for my correct contribution statement from Excel Church Worldwide Kingdom Builders so that I can do my taxes. I need the correct amounts so that I can finish my taxes and legally declare um, my losses and everything else. But I need that. And I've asked for it several times in writing. See, I don't do nothing verbally. I follow up in writing. And so since I follow up in writing, I have documentation as to everything. Everything, just about everything that I do, I put it in writing. I got a notebook. I sometimes put it in my email. Sometimes I jot it down on on cardboard, whatever. But now, I'm going to have my documentary coming out soon. And I also have a prayer journal that was published on Amazon years ago. It's under C. Carr's the author. And I think it was 52 weeks of prayer journal. And that prayer in writing every day makes a difference. It allows you to get thoughts out of your mind. So writing is good. And I have a few questions and answers. One of my questions is, what happens when essential public services, that's water and sewage, are disrupted? My answer was, when essential public services such as water and sewages are disrupted, daily life becomes very difficult. For me, it was. I can't even read this piece of paper. It was devastating for me um, because I was displaced out of my own home. Also, it adversely affects your health right away. And I was diligent. It made my daily life just unstable. So what do you do when you can't even wash your hands in your own house, go to the bathroom? And my livelihood was impacted at once. And when I informed my state representatives, because I reached out to them too. My district is 92. Explain to me, and I asked her to explain to me, and she got defensive. Accused, when Satan accuses you of doing something, and I got documentation showing that I emailed her back in 2022. Why did a House bill come out? I don't know the name of 398 or whatever. Adversely affecting my cottage license. That's my ability to make money with as pound cake lady. That House bill came out, and knowing that I share the water. That's what HOA. That's why you have an HOA fee, $275 a month for us, and that's quite a bit for a old community. And the infrastructure was failing, which nobody said anything about it to me, but the board members knew about it. And if you think about it, none of their condominiums were suffering, and if it was, they used our HOA fees to fix theirs. So, because there was no unified way they used to take care of everybody, it had us seniors, disabled, suffering. That was the impact. And all those people who were leased to own, they were displaced out of their house. Because when you deal with deprivation of public utilities, public utility tampering, that kind of stuff, it caused lots of flooding. So they got flooded out of their house, and they didn't want to stay there anyway with what was going on, backup sewage, all that. And so what I can say is, thank you. Count all joy when you go through trials and tribulation, because the narrative changed my life. Emotions, were just all over the place. But that's not all over the place as far as being mean to people. It was nerve-wracking to be without public utility for as long as I have, and then have backup sewage and all kind of stuff going on. And then the claims examiners not inspecting the property properly, mischaracterizing me, misclassifying claims as wear and tear, knowing that it was a public utility issue, not answering phone calls, leaving written messages, do not call because of your attitude. I couldn't understand what the attitude was. There wasn't no attitude. I just asking that the claims be reviewed and restored. So there was no attitude. Maybe they were accusing me because they had the attitude. But I know this. We had biolab on chemical explosions and chemical fires back in September 29th, 2024, which caused accelerated deterioration because of chemical exposure. Let me tell you, when one of the claims adjuster said, "Oh, I see nothing," I said, "You don't see nothing because you don't want to see nothing. Once you're exposed to harsh chemicals like chlorine, Conyers, Georgia, September 29, 2024, it causes everything to deteriorate. It wasn't just chlorine. There was a bunch of corrosive chemicals that were released less than 3 miles, less than 5 miles from my house. And trees are dying, so they had to cut down a bunch of trees. And my insurance did not take care of us. That's what we pay for insurance for emergencies such as this, for disasters such as this, which it was not declared by our wonderful governor as a disaster area. Even though we had so many people dying, you could see the accelerated deterioration, even with my vehicle. My hubcaps all broke up. Accelerated deterioration plus the electrical system, the paint, all that. And for somebody to tell me who's not a specialist in hazmat, and if they are a specialist in hazmat, to tell me a story like that, and I don't call people the L word no more. It's called misrepresentation. It's a lot softer. So I say, are you misrepresenting yourself? I don't have to use the L word. L means love. Okay. So thank God. God gave me peace and not silence. He preserved me. That means he allowed me to have I was credible. My statements were credible. The evidence was credible. The pictures were credible. The plumbing reports were credible. The cameras showing that there was tree roots, busted water lines was credible. So when somebody want to call me certain names, I just say I decline. That's not me. That's somebody else. And I thank God that he preserved the credible witness, the credibility documented in reports consistently. See, if I made one error, type of a graphical, it doesn't have to be turned into somebody else's evidence. Well, she said this and that. No, it's still the same. Deprivation of public utilities services, both water and sewage. And the Public Water Authority has always been Rockdale Water Resources. They haven't changed. They still send us the bill for the entire community, 77 plus more condominiums. That's the entire bill for both water and sewage to Viewpoint East condominiums. So why would we want to pay a non-public water authority for public utilities who already paid directly to Rockdale Water Resources? And let's talk about habitable conditions. There was no habitable conditions once public utilities were deprived. That was not habitable. You don't expect anybody to live in a house that ain't got no water or sewage services. I don't think so. It's called intentional. And so my faith as a discipline had to quietly endure as a testament under pressure. This was serious pressure for me. And guiding, was the Holy Spirit guiding me. I didn't know what to do. Guiding my behavior, guiding my life, guiding me. That means God loved me a lot. Guiding my decisions, I didn't know what to do. But I knew to read the Bible daily. I knew to pray, because this was not a performance. This was a life experience that I never thought I would ever go through, especially when other people were telling me questions. Why don't you just go to the water company? I'm like, I wanted to say, bum bum. Really? You know, I went to the Rockdale Water Resource, says, excuse me, can you turn the water on? They sitting up here telling me misrepresentation. Okay. Hey, look, they had all kind of faces telling me, argue me down. I knew something was up when somebody would argue with me. Somebody from Rockdale Water Resources, several of them, like they had something that they had to prove to me. I said, something ain't right. But that was God talking to me. When people holler and scream at you and try to force you to do something that you know darn well you can't do. Uh, so the outcome is this. I was delayed. It was delayed by years. Public utility services was delayed. The systems remained interrupted. That means I still don't have no public water services to my home, condo home. Neither does next door neighbor and a few other people, but they were conveniently moved out. I wasn't moved out. I had to go figure out, sleep in the car, stay in hotels, spend money that I had not planned on spending. And I wasn't prepared. I was not prepared. So silence spoke a lot, because when you listen to God in silence, God's always talking. And so because nobody was saying anything to the injustice, because it went unchallenged by other people. Rockdale Water Resources didn't come out to restore public utilities. I actually got a call from the chairman of the board, or chairman, it was Rockdale County chairwoman, to tell me, CeCe, I'm not going to help you. And I was like, why not? This is what elected officials do. This is why we have people in position of authority, to make sure that everybody gets treated right, because they're representing the county as well as they are the overseer of public utilities, which there are lots of ordinances that state. That's why we have Rockdale code enforcement. And by the way, the city of Conyers code enforcement got involved with the utility disruption and didn't resolve the sewer intrusion, just saying, oh, just snake it. That was already a disaster getting ready to happen. Her name was Melissa Mel Staton. She signed off, or allowed her name to be signed off, on a invoice allowing snaking of the main sewer line. I don't think so. And then she tells me, I can't tell them what to do with their money. Well, it's not their money. It was my money too, because I paid $275 a month. Receipts. So thank God for the receipts. And I'm holding down the castle, which is my home. That's exactly what the budget class told me. Hold down your castle. My castle is my home, even if it's a condo home. So God is the one that gave it to me, to be a good steward over it, to manage it. That's why I continue to pay the insurance. I continue to pay the mortgage monthly. I continue to pay the $275 HOA fee monthly, money I didn't have, and not have public utilities in my house. And every month, if there was a HOA meeting, I'll be verbally abused by my neighbors, who are our board members, mischaracterizing my personality, mischaracterizing what I said, and writing it. But count it all joy, because when you go through trials and tribulation, it's a testing of your faith that produces patience. And so I learned this from James. I learned it from my HOA. It doesn't matter what people say about me. The truth is, God says so many good things about us, you can't even count it. And that's out of Psalms. And I've said that before. And what I can say is, God, thank you. Thank you for your mercy and grace, because it was a lot of mercy and grace extended on me. Mercy and grace extended on the people who deprived me of public utilities and the next door neighbor. Because whenever I would call him, I would say, "How you doing, Dan?" He said, "I'm trying to make it right," because he didn't want to sell that unit without having integrity. That means he was not going to sell a toe up condominium. Now, do I believe that? Not really. But that's what he said. And so I said, that makes some sense. You don't want to give somebody something that's trashed out. And we had public utilities before, and I'm sure he lost some money. I lost a lot of money too, because I couldn't even rent out my house without public utilities. I couldn't even rent out a room, couldn't do my businesses, none of that. Couldn't even live in it. But what I can say is when you have integrity, that means credibility. And I learned that from my father. And I thank God I got a father that spent 29 years in the U.S. Air Force. He didn't just do it for this country. He had to go through Vietnam. God let him live through Vietnam. He even went through another war back in the 80s and 90s. He had to go over there to Korea. And he had to come back to his family. That was my mom, me, and my two sisters. He had something to live for. And he honored his word first to God, well, first to his country, to God, and he honored his word when it came to me 100% of the time. So, what was I going to do? I'm going to honor my word 100% of the time. So, when I told God I would give tithes and offerings, 10% of gross, I meant it. Even if I borrowed money, I was not going to go without giving the 10% to God, plus offerings. And the offerings don't count until the 10% of gross is met. So I'm not telling people to do it that way, but the Bible just says a tenth. Like King Melchizedek, a tenth. And so a tenth of my time does not count for a tenth of my money or money that God blessed me with, all of it. So the time I spend in the Bible reading the word is very important. I was trying to read my notes here, but it's getting dark over here now. And so it's too small for me to read it. I didn't think about printing it in big print. But it's important. So what I can say is, God, thank you. Because somebody's listening. I don't know who's listening, but God's always listening to what we say. And I don't get into arguments or windy arguments about um faith or God or being matured spiritually, complete, lacking nothing. This is where God was sending me. And so he had to use this whole situation to mature me spiritually so I wouldn't be fainting. Oh, fainted. I was fainting. I had fainted unless I seen the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I don't have to faint no more. What I can say is, God, thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for your mercy and grace. Thank you so much for keeping me. Because God knows I was praying for everybody in the community, even the board members that would be hollering at me at the board members walking out the door. Talking about, CeCe, we're going to leave you here by yourself. I would say, okay, that don't mean nothing. I'm still going to write. I said, well, I think I sent them 4,000 emails. They should have read. Well, I'm sure they read them now because they all had evidence in it. It had truth. And because it had truth, that's how they were able to do things that they shouldn't have did. But I always told the truth. So I said, God, thank you. I don't call people names because I don't like to be called names. So hopefully I will continue to walk in this journey, on this journey with God, being faithful. And that's the only way he can trust us if we obey the word, the Bible, Bible. It's the roadmap, it's the contract for life. I'm standing on God's promises. And I heard there was over 7,000, 8,000 of them. And knowing the difference between prophecy and promise are two different things. God is not a man that he should lie over his word, not a prophecy. Prophecies is something, it's just a prophecy. It's not a promise. And because God promised me, 3 John and 2, I pray that you prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prosper. And I'm so grateful that God, to God be the glory, kept me for a time such as this. I'm a senior, but I'm grateful that God has kept me. And I might have gone through some things, but he still kept me. What I can say is since I've been out here, I talked a lot about the scriptures. People I didn't know. I would say, excuse me, did you read your Bible today? I was really telling myself, read the Bible, because that's the only thing I could keep going forward was the word. And so every day I would read some of Psalms, some of Proverbs, some of Romans. I put the whole armor of God on every day. That's Ephesians 6. Plus other people would give me other scriptures. Like this one gentleman gave me 2 Timothy 1-4. I think it's 1-4. No, it was for 2 Timothy 4:1-4. And he even read it to me, trying to tell me his thoughts about it. And I said, no, that don't make no sense. So I'm going to 2 Timothy again. I went to 2 Timothy, first 2 Timothy, but 2 Timothy, it was 4:1-4. And it's a prophecy. It's not a promise. It talks about people turning away their ears from the truth. You know, they had itchy ears. I ain't trying to turn myself away from the truth. That's why I read the Bible for myself. And I'm sure there's people out there, but this was a prophecy. People do turn their self away from the truth. But that don't have to be me. I just went on to 3 John, because you got the big John, 1st, 2nd, 3 John, and you got John who wrote Revelations, that same John. So I said, I'm going to stick right here because 3 John and 2 says, beloved, I wish, but another version says, I pray above all things that you may prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prospers. This was the elder John, okay? 3 John, the epistle. And I pray that over people. I'm really saying over myself too, because it's 3 promises all in one verse. And I pray it over my pastors, my churches that I'm a member of. And what I can say is the scriptures work if you work it. That means continuous. Your faith continues to grow. And so I desire to continue to grow in my walk. And without trials and tribulations, you can't grow. That's what James said. Okay, count it all joy. So I said, okay. So this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Psalms was very comforting. The book of Psalms is 150 books. 150 books in the Psalms. And I would read Proverbs. Wisdom is something you can always get because I don't know everything, but if I read Proverbs every day, I will learn what to do, not to do. And if I miss it, God will put me in correction. So, well, I've done my hour. Thank you so much, y'all, for putting the timer on me because I needed it because I would have talked till tomorrow. Not really, but I would have talked over the hour. And I just want to say thank you so much, Emily, Kurt, and Sue Roscoff, the Ability Now team, everybody, God first. And I'll see y'all next month. Hopefully, if not, maybe I can record it. So take care, everyone. Thank you. And I love you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you,
Bye.
CeCe.
You're welcome.